street? What happens when a former felon, a serial cheater, and a courtroom queen walk into a secret affair? You get the mess that only love and hip-hop serve, with a side of betrayal and a full-blown social media explosion. So, tell me, was that a kiss on the cheek or a kiss of death for 2 marriages? Because baby Mendeecees just dropped a bomb so loud, not even Mona Scott G was ready for this one. We're talking screenshots, side eyes, and scandalous receipts that have Kirk Frost caught lip to lip, none other than Kendra Robinson, young Joseph. Yes, you read that right. Kirk can't stay loyal to Rasheeda, and now he's allegedly swapping spit with someone else's spouse. But wait, the plot thickens like Kirk's excuses. Mendeecees, who does not forget his own closet full of skeletons, has taken it upon himself to play messy referee, and the internet is eating it up like a 3-piece combo from the Shade Room. This real life or an unpaid storyline rogue? Grab your popcorn. Sisters, this and Jesus tea. It's a whole kettle boiling over. Asterisk. Let's stop pretending for a second, shall we? Kirk Frost is not new to scandal. In fact, if an unfaithful husband were a major at any university, this man would have graduated with honors, written the textbook, and still failed the marriage course. And now he's back in the headlines. Not for music, not for business, but for allegedly getting way too close to a woman who already has a ring on her finger. And it ain't Rasheeda's finger either. For years, Kirk has played the role of reality TV's most persistent problem. From sneaky side pieces to full-on baby daddy drama, his name has become less about love and more about lies. And just when we thought the drama might finally be dying down, here comes Mendeecees. Harris casually threw a loan on a fire we didn't even know was still burning. Because apparently, Kirk's newest chapter, Chios, involves none other than Kendra Robinson, the woman legally and emotionally tied to young Jock. Yes, that Kendra, the one who once prided herself on being the calm, collected attorney who stood by Jock even when his roster of exes looked more packed than an airport terminal during holiday season. But now she's allegedly swapped her courtroom heels for love and hip scandals, still stilettos. Tea in a moment so spicy it had the internet on life support. Let's rewind just a bit before we fully unravel this latest mess. Kirk and Rasheeda's relationship has always been the kind of story that keeps therapists booked and blogs buzzing. Fans watched in disbelief as Rasheeda repeatedly took him back after betrayal upon betrayal. First, there was Jasmine, the side chick turned alleged baby mama, who turned social media upside down. That scandal alone was enough to cause secondhand heartbreak across the nation. But Rasheeda, bless her loyal heart, stood 10 toes down. Forgiveness. She practically trademarked it. Fast forward through a few fake apologies, a couple of dramatic reunion show walk-offs, and Kirk begging with a microphone he didn't deserve, and we somehow landed at what appeared to be stability, or at least a ceasefire. But behind that smiley Instagram front, it seems Kirk may have been playing the same dirty game all over again. Now, here's where the plot takes a nosedive, absolute madness. The kiss. Not a friendly greeting, not a cheeky air-pair peek. This was a full-on pause-worthy, slow-mo-worthy, camera-wide kiss caught in a photo that blew up social media feeds faster than you can say, delete that. And who was behind the camera? None other than Mendeecees Harris, Yandy Smith's very own husband, who has now upgraded from reality show supporting character to full-blown whistleblower. The man posted the image with the kind of shady caption that would make even the Shade Rooms an eyebrow. "You were busy pointing fingers at me. Guess who I caught red-handed?" That caption hit harder than a reunion show slap. And the internet responded accordingly. Comments poured in, Time Meta Melons did, and fan pages lit up with every possible theory, breakdown, and think piece imaginable. People were screening, reposting, zooming in, analyzing facial expressions like it was a crime scene photo. And in many ways, it felt like one, a crime of betrayal, stupidity, and possibly career suicide. The moment that picture dropped, fans didn't waste a second. People started dragging Kirk like a suitcase through the TSA. Some said Kirk Frost is allergic to peace, while others joked that he's on a mission to collect every cast member's wife like Infinity Stones. And Kendra, oh, they came for her too. Viewers were in full disbelief. This was the woman who once stood before a crow crowding in her eyes, defending her relationship with Jock like she was delivering a closing argument in a trial. But now, she's allegedly out here kissing someone, says husband. Fans were quick to call out the hypocrisy, especially since Kendra herself had previously aired Jock minor flirtations and emojis. That's right. This woman was ready to call the divorce attorney over a hierarchy. And now she's allegedly swapping spit with Kirk. I lost my wife's trust twice. Frost, if the kiss wasn't enough to send shockwaves, it didn't single quotes T.Key didn't take before Rasheeda herself entered the chat. Okay. And when Rasheeda speaks, you know it's serious. She didn't name names, didn't tag anyone, but her Instagram post said more than 1,000 words. A simple, haunting caption. Tear betrayal's different when it comes from the person you never thought would hurt you. No fancy filters, no song lyrics, just pure gut punch, heartbreak. Fans immediately knew what she meant. Within minutes, her comment section filled with messages of support, confusion, and just plain rage. Sis, please don't take him back this. Time one wrote. Another said, Rasheeda, blink twice if you need us to pull up. The energy was clear. People were over it. Done with Kirk's excuses, tired of seeing Rasheeda hurt. Furious that some Somin Kendra, who many had respected, might be playing a role in this emotional disaster. Of course, with every scandal, there's always a swarm of opinions. This one was no different. Twitter turned into a battleground. Team Rasheeda, Team Kendra, Team Mind Your Own Business. But one thing everyone could agree on. This wasn't just messy, it was recluse. This kind of recklessness could destroy marriages, friendships, and reputations faster than a Love and Hop cast member can scream. You got me messed up. A reunion. The fans weren't just reacting. They were investigating. Suddenly, internet detectives were pulling up old clips, screenshots, and footage from behind their shoots, looking for clues. Had this affair been going on for longer than anyone realized? Were there signs all along? Did young Jock know? Did Mona Scott know? At this point, people were accusing everyone of being in on the drama. Like it was a carefully scripted soap opera no one was getting paid for. And right at the center of it all, Kirk stood once again, in eye of a hurricane of his own making, with Kendra now seemingly standing right beside him in the storm. Meanwhile, Mendeecees, the self-proclaimed deliverer of truth, wasn't someone. Ring the pot. After the initial post went viral, he started liking comments that called out the hypocrisy, and even dropped a vague story post with the words, "The truth always comes to highlight." Eventually, fans couldn't tell if he was being messy, noble, or just bored. But one thing Wasclerly was loving the attention. Some praised him for exposing the scandal, saying he was doing God's work. Others accused him of clout chasing and trying to redirect attention from his own shady past. But regardless of motive, the damage was done. The photo was out. The kiss was seen. The ripple effect was already shaking. Every relationship tied to that cast like an earthquake. That wouldn't quit. There was no going back now. The lines were drawn, sides were being picked, and people wanted answers. The story was no longer about a simple kiss. It had become a symbol of something deeper, a cycle of betrayal, public embarrassment, and women being expected to stay quiet while the men they love make fools out of them on national television. And in this case, not one, but two women's relationships, hanging in the balance, teetering between forgiveness and total fallout. as the photo of Kirk and Kendra continued to circulate like wildfire. The internet had fully turned into a courtroom. Everyone had an opinion. While some users were sharpening their digital pitchforks and aiming them straight at Kirk, others were dissecting every frame of that kiss like it was the Zapruder film. Was it staged? Was it spontaneous? Did Kendra pull away? Did Kirk lean in? Every pixel was under scrutiny. But one thing became painfully obvious. This wasn't some friendly moment blown out of proportion. It had weight, it had energy, and it had consequences. And if you thought that the mess ended with just one photo, think again. Because it didn't take long for alleged insiders to start crawling out from under their rocks. Each one claimed the real tea on what had been going down behind closed doors. According to one anonymous tipster who slid into multiple blogs' inboxes, claiming to be a production assistant on Love and Hip Hop. This wasn't even the first time. Kirk and Kendra had gotten a little too close for comfort. The source alleged that during the last taping in Atlanta, Kirk and Kendra had been spotted in the corner of a private VIP section at a cast wrap party, whispering and touching each other in ways that were anything but platonic. And while there were no cameras directly filming them at that moment, several crew members reportedly noticed it and made side remarks, brushing it off as just industry people being flirty. But now, with the kiss exposed, those moments have taken on a much darker tone. Were they dropping hints in plain sight this whole time? Even more damning was a supposed leaked text thread that showed Kirk allegedly messaging Kendra late at night, asking if she was still thinking about the last time. The messages, conveniently snapped by someone claiming to have access to Kendra's old phone, show a series of suggestive emojis, flirtatious banter, and even a cryptic weave to be more careful from Kirk. Myself. Though the authenticity of these screenshots couldn't be confirmed, the damage was already done. Screenshots don't need to be verified when the internet is hungry for blood. And with fans already deep in their feelings about Rasheeda's silence and Jock's obliviousness, this just added gasoline to a fire that had no intention of dying down. Meanwhile, young Jock's social media remains suspiciously quiet. A man who normally loves to laugh through his problems or turn a serious moment into a meme. His silence felt deafening. No clapbacks, no cryptic quotes, no gym selfies, just radio silence. And in the world of reality TV, silence speaks louder than scandal. Fans began speculating that he was blindsided, possibly only learning about the photo and the alleged messages when the rest of the internet did. Some even claimed he had unfollowed Kendra, though receipts for that claim were shaky at best. Still, the lack of public reaction from Jock only intensified the speculation that the rumors were not only true but deeply personal. And while Kirk has been no stranger to controversy, this particular scandal seemed to hit differently. Unlike previous affairs, where the side women wear her anonymous or completely outside the circle, it was someone within the cast, someone who shared scenes, dinner tables, and confessional chairs with Rasheeda. That proximity made it sting harder. And Ondita, ever the poised queen, remained mostly quiet. Her followers kept pushing her to speak, to finally draw the line in the sand, to file for divorce once and for all. "You've built an empire. You don't need him," one user commented. Another wrote, "He's embarrassed you too many times. Love yourself more." Sentiment was clear. The public was done giving Kirk another pass. And some were starting to turn that same frustration toward Rasheeda, accusing her of enabling the behavior by forgiving him so many times in the past. But it wasn't just fans who were reacting. Other cast members from the Love and Hop franchise began chiming in. A former cast member who asked to remain anonymous had previously worked with both Kirk and Kendra, told one gossip page that everyone always knew there was something weird about their energy. They claimed Kendra would go out of her way to defend Kirk in group conversations and had once even pulled her aside to warn her about being too close to someone else's man. The hypocrisy was not lost on anyone. And just like that, old interviews were being dragged back into circulation. A resurfaced clip of Kendra calling out, Jock's unfaithfuls suddenly hit different when replayed in the context of her alleged affair with Kirk. Meanwhile, Mendeecees, who started this avalanche of chaos with a single post, seemed to be enjoying his newfound role as truth-teller. He started doing subtle interviews, dropping vague hints, and talking about how certain men act like victims when they're the ones out here breaking homes. Though he never directly named Kirk in any of these interviews, the implication was obvious. Spoke with a kind of confidence that only comes from knowing you're holding cards no one else has seen. And in this case, those cards were explosive. One radio show claimed that Mendeecees had even more photos and screenshots that was waiting to be released if Kirk or anyone else tries to deny it. It became clear that the initial photo wasn't just a messy mistake, but the opening salvo of a much bigger war. And let's not forget the producers behind Love and Hip Hop, who were probably sitting somewhere sipping champagne while watching the internet implode. You couldn't script this drama if you tried. And yet, here it was playing out in real time. Rumors began swirling that the scandal would be directly addressed in the upcoming reunion episode, and that producers had already contacted all parties involved to get them in the same room. Fans started predicting walkouts, screaming matches, and maybe even physical altercations. The show had been coasting on old drama for too long, and this affair had just breathed new life into its ratings. But beyond the entertainment value, there was something deeper brewing. Fans started asking uncomfortable questions about why these women keep finding themselves in the same cycles of disrespect, betrayal, and public humiliation. What is it about this franchise that glamorizes dysfunction? Why are we still watching men who repeatedly cheat, lie, and gaslight with zero real consequences? The conversation turned from juicy gossip to full-blown cultural criticism. Think piece-a-pieceted blogs, social commentators gushed in. And even therapists began posting about why people like Rasheeda and Kendra may tolerate these toxic cycles. Suddenly, the scandal wasn't just about Kirk and Isis. It was a mirror being held up to the entire ecosystem of love and hip-hop and the real issues it reflects. And yet, with all the noise, one thing remained frustratingly unanswered. What now? Would Rasheeda really walk away from this? Me? Would Jock confront Kendra publicly? Would Kirk deny, deflect, or disappear like he's done before? And perhaps most importantly, why was Mendeecees so invested in this mess? Was this revenge, a power play? Or was he just tired of staying quiet while others threw stones at his own glass house? One thing was for sure, the mess was far from cleaned up. And if you thought this story had already peaked, you might want to think again, because the aftermath of that one photo was only just beginning to unravel. The scandal had already scorched through social media like wildfire. But as the dust began to settle, what remained was not just the wreckage of two real relationships, the unraveling of reputations that once seemed untouchable. The internet wasn't just reacting anymore, it was demanding answers. Blogs were running daily updates. Fans were hosting live discussions. And everyone from reality TV commentators to mainstream gossip outlets had locked in on the same question. What happens now? The whispers had turned into a roar, and at the center of it all stood Rasheeda, a woman who had already endured a public history of betrayal, now facing the very real possibility that her husband had once again disrespected her. This time with someone from within their own circle. If there was ever a time to walk away, it was now. And according to sources close to the couple, she just might be ready to do exactly that. Reports began surfacing that Rasheeda had quietly contacted a divorce attorney, not to make noise, but to finally protect her peace. One insider claimed she told a friend who gave him too many chances. Don't be embarrassed, a guy again. Alleged legal steps weren't flashy or loud, but they were intentional. This time, Rasheeda wasn't just her. She was exhausted. The years of defending Kirk in interviews, trying to keep her family intact for the sake of the business, and standing strong while the world watched her cry, had taken their toll. And now, with the Kendra incident erupting in public, even her closest supporters could see the shift. She wasn't just reacting, was detaching. Meanwhile, young Jock finally broke his silence in a way that left fans stunned. During a live radio interview, the normally humorous, light-hearted personality dropped the jokes and addressed the rumors head-on. He didn't name names, but his tone said everything. He admitted to being blindsided, said he felt betrayed, and made it clear that trust had been broken in a way that couldn't be easily fixed. "You think you know someone," he said quietly. And then one picture shows you everything you missed. The honesty in his voice hit differently. This wasn't a man trying to defend his marriage for the cameras. This was someone realizing that loyalty might not have been mutual. Then if the heartbreak wasn't clear enough, his next move sealed the deal. Just hours after the interview, he unfollowed Kendra on all social media platforms and wiped their recent pictures clean. The subtle unfollow may not seem dramatic in normal life, but in the reality TV universe, it was as loud as a door slam. With both Rasheeda and Jock appearing to distance themselves from their respective partners, Kirk and Kendra found themselves facing a new, real reality without the protection of their marriages. Kirk, always the slippery talker, tried his usual playbook. According to a few sources close to production, he insisted the kiss was innocent, taken out of context and nothing more than a friendly moment. But that explanation wasn't flying this time. Too much evidence, too much history, and too much disrespect piled up behind him. His credibility was already paper, and now it was evaporating entirely. As for Kendra, she went into full damage control mode. She locked her comments, limited her posts, and avoided making any official statements. But silence can't stop. A storm. Fans continued to drag her mercilessly, questioning how someone who once preached about standards and boundaries could allegedly betray both her marriage and another woman's in the same breath. The disappointment wasn't just about the hypocrisy. Producers of Love and Hip Hop, meanwhile, couldn't have written this better if they tried. The upcoming reunion episode became the most anticipated event in the show's recent history. Rumors began swirling. The cast would be forced to address the scandal on camera, with Mendeecees, Rasheeda, Jock, Kirk, and Kendra all expected to be in attendance. Leaks from the set claimed the energy was intense, security on standby, and producers warning everyone to stay in control. But anyone who's watched a single episode knows how quickly control can fly out the window. Allegedly, Mendeecees didn't hold back. In one taping, he reported Kirk out directly, accusing him of pretending to be a family man while acting like a bachelor behind the scenes. The confrontation sparked a heated argument, and while producers tried to steer the conversation toward resolution, the room was already too charged with betrayal and resentment. If there was ever a moment when the cast stopped acting for the cameras, it was then, as the fallout continued and financial consequences started to creep in. Brands that once partnered with Rasheeda and Kirk's joint ventures began to reconsider their endorsements. Several fashion influencers unfollowed Kendra, and some sponsorships were rumored to be at risk. The reality TV world thrives on drama, but even that industry has its limits. When the public turns on you this hard, the business side always feels it, and that's exactly what happened. The scandal was no longer just tabloid fodder. It was beginning to affect checks, partnerships, and public image. Kirk, who had previously leaned on his status as a music manager and entrepreneur, now faced whispers that some of his clients wanted distance. The dominoes were falling, one betrayal at a time. But perhaps the most unexpected twist in this already chaotic story came from Mendeecees himself. Just when it seemed like a life kite exposed all he planned to, he appeared in a live video, not to throw more dirt, but to explain his motives. He said he posted the photo because he was tired of being made out to be the villain while others got to pretend they were innocent. He claimed that behind the scenes, people like Kirk were quick to call him out, quick to point fingers while hiding their own skeletons. "I just got tired of the fake," said. "If I'm going to be held accountable, so is everybody else?" Whether you believe his motives were pure or petty, one thing became clear: he wasn't lying. The evidence spoke for itself. He may have been messy, but he wasn't wrong. Fans processed every new piece of fallout. One overarching feeling remained: exhaustion. Exhaustion with watching women like Rasheeda and Kendra make excuses for men who clearly didn't value them. Exhaustion with watching public apologies followed by private repeats. Exhaustion with a franchise that continued to glorify dysfunction as entertainment. And through all that noise, one quiet but powerful question rose to the surface. Will what? Will women do now? Will Rasheeda finally reclaim her peace and file for divorce? Will Jock walk away for good? Will Kendra admit to what happened or continue hiding behind silence? And will Kirk, for once, take real accountability? The answers may not come immediately, but one thing is certain: damage has already been done. Relationships have been shattered, trust has been obliterated. And fans are left watching a slow car crash they can't look away from. And in the middle of it all stands the reminder that sometimes real estate isn't scripted. It's simply what happens when egos, secrets, and cameras collide, and when the curtains close and the confessions are done. The question still remains: how many times can a heart break before it finally learns? Because while the cast may be getting ready for another season, the audience has seen enough to know this isn't just TV anymore. It's real pain, real betrayal, and a brutal reminder that not every story gets a happy ending. Asterisk. So now that the dust has settled, at least for the moment, what do you think, viewers? Has Kirk finally burned his last bridge with Rasheeda? Or will history repeat itself yet again? Can a kiss, a few texts, and a viral photo really be dismissed as misunderstood? Or is this the proof Rasheeda needed to finally walk away? Good. And what about Kendra? Will she ever address the elephant in the room? Or is silence her only defense? Does young Jock deserve the truth? Or is he better off without the whole story? And let's not forget Mendeecees. Was he being messy? Or was he simply delivering the receipts the rest of us were too scared to share? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was this all just another twisted love and hip-hop plot? Or are we witnessing the public collapse of two very real relationships? Should Rasheeda file for divorce or give Kirk yet another chance? Should Kendra be held accountable? Or is she just another victim of the chaos? Be sure to like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite reality TV madness, and hit that notification bell because, trust me, the drama is far from over.